I'll never forget it. Things like that are stuck in your mind pretty good. You know, they were taking me out of the car. I looked down there and the whole top of my foot was gone. It wasn't a pretty sight. And in the hospital, I started working on a design for a rear engine car. Now, you have to understand something. There have been rear engine cars forever. In fact, all of the FIA records in 1939 were set by the Germans on the Autobahn with rear engine cars with roots blowers, nitromethane, and Zoomy headers. So we know that you could use a rear engine car, but nobody was able to get one down the quarter mile. I had one in the museum we built in 1957. Was the most evil handling thing you'd ever seen. So anyway, I got to work on this thing, and I worked on it for 3 solid months. You could never have designed it on the track today because of the concrete barriers on the edge of the track. The track I was using was Orlando, Florida, and had 100 feet of dirt from the edge of the track to where the spectators were and the guardrail. So I had plenty of room to go off the track and spin out without killing myself. 3 months of testing, I never got down the track once. So we put the car aside and we snapped together Swamp Rat 15. This was 14. 13 blew my foot off. 14 was the first rear engine car, and 15 was the slingshot that I was going to use in 1971. The car is hanging in the showroom at Summit that anybody would like to see. It's brand new. It's never been down the drag strip. Anyway, my wife came out into the shop and she pointed at this car on the jig and she says, "Don, what is that?" And she knew what it was. She was a comptroller. She knew nobody had sent a check for a dragster. And I said, well honey, that's my car for next year. I said, in 3 weeks I got to be in California. She said, have you forgotten the 6 friends of yours that died in these slingshot dragsters in the last 2 years? I said, no, I hadn't forgotten them. I said, but I hadn't been down the drag strip yet. She says, let me tell you something, Don. She said, you got 2 good hands. You got a good head on your shoulders. You got all these machines in here. You got those 2 guys standing over there, Swingle and Tom Lemons. They'll do anything you say. If there's anybody on this planet that can make this rear engine car a success, it's you. Now get back on it. And I'll tell you, she was a little scorpion. I got back on it. So we went to the track the next day, same thing, went off the drag strip, and we're coming back from the track. And I said to Swingle, I said, you know, if I didn't know better, I think the darn steering was too fast, but that can't be it because we got the steering on there just exactly the way it came off the slingshot. And Swingle said, "Look, Gar, this ain't a slingshot. This is a front driver. If you think the steering's too fast, let's just slow it down." So that night we made longer arms for the spindles and we shortened up the arm coming out of the steering box. This was before rack and pinions. And took it to the track the next day. You wouldn't believe it. Straight as a string. And the good part was it went 686. And the track record was 685 by the Ram Chargers. They're the baddest in the world for low ET of the meet. They just had this big meet there that I didn't even go to, so I didn't have a car. We couldn't get in the trailer fast enough and get to California. We won this right off the bat. We won the Pomona, we won the U.S. Fuel and Gas Championships, and then we come back to Florida and put a wing on it and won the big race in West Palm Beach for AHRA, and of course, the rest is history. Within 6 months, there were no slingshots. And they haven't killed 6 people in the 40 years since.
Woo! Great stories, Don. Great stories. Great history.